Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, Evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
What, everyone? It's been an interesting week for sure. Lots going on in the world today. My social media feed has been blowing up. You know, I've had numerous calls from clients and friends and people trying to navigate all the energy that we're dealing with. So I think we'll be talking a little bit about that tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about psychic abilities. I think tonight is going to be an episode that we discuss a lot of energy. We're going to be talking about energy. You know, everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, and our psychic abilities are made up of that. So I think a lot of tonight's aspect of discussion can be kind of geared down that path. But how are you, Mary Amy? What is going on? I appreciate seeing your wonderful energy and bringing that fantastic energy to the show.
Hi, everyone. Today it's Two Psychics Podcast, episode 66. It's September 11th, 2025. And I do have a lot of energy. I'm excited about tonight's show. Here we are. We don't have a guest tonight. We have a guest next week. We're trying to have a permanent evening that we do this, 7:30. I did go ahead and I was doing some lives on Instagram. So first I said, I'm going to promote it. So I go on Instagram and then it's under a minute. So it disappeared. Then I was like, all right, I'll do one on Facebook. I go and do it. Disappeared. I don't know where it went.
I think I may be going live on my Eye of the Spirits page right now. I do believe that. But so if someone can comment in the pages and let me know if I'm live there. I tried it for the first time linking up, so I'm hoping I'm live there on my Facebook Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley. If not, then we'll figure it out for next week. But yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. What I'd like to do tonight to just kind of open our show, there's a prayer that a lot of times when there was a lot of chaos running amok in the world and people's energies were very I want to say very discombobulated. You know, that's a word I've been using a lot lately. Discombobulated energy, you know, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, whether you're red or blue, whether it doesn't matter where we're coming from. What we have to remember is we're all humans being human on this planet. We're all trying to navigate it in the best way possible. And I think it's important for us to respect all opinions, all, different understandings that everyone brings to the table. And what I'm seeing, just so much division right now. I'm seeing so much uncertainty, fear, grief. I'm seeing a lot of that. So what I'd like to do, just to kind of open our show, I want to slow things down a little bit. And I want to just say a small prayer that I channeled many years ago. And it's a prayer for new beginnings. And being that it's September 11th, we're here on the East Coast. This is a very somber day for many. I was a new business owner when September 11th happened. I was just under 2 years into owning my business that I had for 21 years, and it was an interesting journey seeing that. And just, we had a lot of customers coming in that worked in the city. We had lots of friends, clients, family that lost people in 9/11. So it was a very, very interesting time. And when September 11th comes up, it always brings me kind of back into that cycle of those memories and that energy that we were all trying to navigate. So I do want to share, this is a prayer for new beginnings. And I think this is the perfect way to kind of open the Two Psychics podcast. So let me just share this prayer with you. We call forth our angels and divine spirit to help guide us, protect us, and release us from all that no longer serves us. I ask for our hearts to be filled with wisdom, joy, compassion, and love. May the good within us grow more bright so we may become a beacon of light for others to help manifest the highest and best into humanity. Amen.
Amen.
And I think that kind of captures the energy that I'm trying to bring forth right now, and the energy I'm trying to help my clients navigate with right now. So it's an interesting thing. So I think the topic of psychic awareness, understanding the external energies and our internal energies, and how we process those energies is very integral to everyone right now. And as we're navigating all these situations, so I'm going to let you kick it off, Mary Amy, and talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing tonight. But that's where I'm at right now, and I just I'm very blessed to be able to tune into this energy, and I think help people navigate it. But even as practitioners, I've seen so many people kind of allow their energy to get away from them right now. And that's the last thing you want to do, no matter what you're dealing with, what you're navigating, as a psychic, as a medium, as a healer. We truly need to remember that we can't control those external circumstances. We can't control the noise of the world, but we can control how we show up and the energy we bring, when we show up. So that's one thing I want everyone to just take a step back, kind of breathe. And we can get so caught up in the emotional turmoil of social media, of current events, of news. And regardless of what's going on and how tragic it may be to some and how others may celebrate that same thing, it's very, very conflicted energy that we're seeing. But I want everyone out there that's trying to navigate this, or you're trying to help others navigate this, remember, we can't control the external noise, but we can control our own internal energy and how we show up.
I appreciate the prayer, and I wanted to just let you know before I give my input. Rhaenyra Quinn said, "Hi, Mike," and you are streaming live on your channel because
what is up, Ray?
I got a check mark and I see it, so it is streaming on your channel. I don't know if it's Michael Edley or it's on Eye of the Spirit. I love.
Yeah, I believe it's on the Eye of the Spirits.
Okay, I love connecting to angels and speaking of angels, because what I've learned that when you speak of something, you basically manifest it into your life. And when we say a prayer and we find our way to a place of stillness and peace within us, and we ground ourselves, and we're going to go through some steps tonight, and it changes you, because when you get this into this place of stillness and quiet, you are more apt to have better concentration and focus, and you'll be more at peace within you. So what's going on out here won't disrupt you in a place of like losing it. Now, when you go into a spiritual realm, you go into your heart space, you tune into your heart. And what exactly is that? I don't know if everyone out there is tuning into compassion and empathy and love and forgiveness. But right now, when things are at its worst, and when you think you can't hold on to anything, that's when you need to do that, because that's how you're going to find where you belong in all of that. And you can connect to spiritual messages. You can connect to a spiritual angelic realm, to divine energies. And whether you realize it or not, we're going to speak tonight about psychic abilities. And I know I'm jumping all over the place. We all have them. I'm not special. We are not special. We all have them. It's just more or less something triggered it early on. And for me, at least, I'll speak for myself. And I got there quicker. Sometimes when you have I had the near-death experience, but I was also pursuing a spiritual realm. I was pursuing it. And I gave up everything for it. I gave up material possessions. I didn't care about money. I said, I'm going to pursue this at all costs, because this is what my heart space is telling me. This is what my gut is telling me. And now what I'm going to say is that it's helpful. It's helpful to the people around me, because you find a place when you realize your psychic abilities, you will come to handle dark times much faster and better than others, because you know yourself better. I don't know if that's really along the lines of what you're saying, but I mean, I personally, when I pray, because I pray, I pray to the Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, to the angels. I've had angelic beings reach out to me. I've seen them. And when I say I've seen them, are they right here in this space? No, but I'll close my eyes, because that's how I connect to other realms. And I'm literally awake, and I see them, and and they've showed themselves to me intentionally. So if you ask for more spiritual, I guess, realms to come to you, or have like a spiritual awakening or experience, it will. And you know what? You can be there for other people, and we can hold hands together and hug each other and be connected, and be there for each other, and not wish other people ill. That's not going to get you there. You're not going to reach a higher vibration, ascend, have a higher consciousness, or any of that if you're wishing doom and gloom on other people. You want to, look, I'm human. We're all human. We are imperfect, and that's what we are. It's beautiful, but we're not going to, when something goes wrong for someone else, we're not going to be like, oh yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely not, because that's bad karma. But we wouldn't want other people to do it to us. So tonight, I know Michael always has big plans. My plan is that we are going to, I'd love to hear what he has to say some more. And I'd like to, if everyone's okay with it, I'd like to get into some steps for psychic phenomenon, what I do to reach some kind of clairvoyance, either through my third eye. We all have gifts. Maybe you're clairaudient, maybe you're clairvoyant, maybe you're empathic. Maybe Michael's spoken about this. When you are working for some kind of cold case, maybe they give you something of someone's, a pair of glasses, and then you psychometry, if that's how you say it. And from psychometry, yes. Right, psychometry, yeah. You receive information. So we all have this, and it's fun, it's exciting, and it will help you in other aspects of your life. I'd also like to do visualization, and I'd like Michael to give us some input about how he connects to reach out to spirit. So
yeah, absolutely. I think, do you want to start getting into the psychic stuff right now, or do you want to start?
We could do that.
Okay, so let me just, I think the basis of all of our psychic abilities, and what is the basis of mediumship, me as a medium, we're all born intuitive. We all have this intuitive ability. Everyone has that gut instinct, that sixth sense. And basically, you're building upon that natural energy of frequency and vibration in the body, that omnipotent connection to everything that is, and we're building upon that. And upon that, we have all our psychic senses. I'm going to kind of pull through a lot. I have my little notebook here of just stuff I've done through the years, and I mean just the basics. So just talking about how the psychic senses match up with our physical senses, and most people will have a dominant psychic sense. They'll have a secondary psychic sense that they can also build upon, in a tertiary psychic sense. So you basically have that 1, 2, and 3 punch, and they match up with our natural senses. But everyone has had that moment where, you're thinking about a friend, a family member, and all of a sudden the phone rings, or, there's those synchronicities that tend to happen. Well, that's us connecting to that full energetic field that we're all connected to, and there's different aspects to that. And I don't want to get into like the Akashic records, that we're getting more into mediumship and aspect of people's energy cycles that they've lived in. But there's basically a collection of all possibilities. And I do believe we can connect to that energetic realm of all possibilities. And that's where psychic abilities start to manifest from. And what people need to understand, if they're ever getting a psychic reading, if you're with a psychic and they're giving you, this is potential possibilities of what could occur, we all need to understand this is a psychic ability is basically tapping into the probabilities of energy that could occur. And that's if you're doing the same things day in, day out, you have the same habits, you're following the same processes and procedures on a daily, on your daily life. Well, then the most probable outcome is this psychic path that a reader is seeing. Now you have the ability to change your destiny. So just for an example, if someone says, well, obviously I'm seeing health issues and there's something related to the heart, if they're tapping into something and you're eating horribly, you're eating tons of processed food, you're not exercising, you're putting yourself in situations that are causing lots of stress and anxiety, well, that could be a very high probable outcome. But if all of a sudden you get this reading and you go, wow, you know what? I'm not really happy with that highly probable outcome. So I'm going to drastically shift my energy and how I'm approaching things. I'm going to start to eat healthier. I'm going to cut out processed foods. I'm going to significantly shift what I'm ingesting, not only body, but mind and spirit. I'm going to start putting myself in a better environment that maybe I'm not so stressed. I may shift how, instead of getting up last minute, getting ready to work, traveling through rush hour, being stressed, maybe I'm going to give myself an extra 20 minutes or a half hour. I'm going to meditate a little bit. I'm going to put myself in a better state of mind. So there are so many variables around like psychic readings that can shift that outcome. So it's basically an energetic probability that we're tapping into. And that's if you're doing the same processes and procedures day in, day out that you're doing now. But we all have free will. We all have that ability to shift that dynamic and change the direction of our psychic outcome. So that's one thing I want to talk about right off the bat. It's a psychic probability. I think that's the easiest way to explain it to people. Well, we also need to take a step back with when I'm talking about dominant and subdominant psychic senses. So think about this. So we have clairvoyance. Think about clairvoyance as many people have is clear seeing. You may see that. You may see the face of a loved one, in your mind's eye, in that third eye energetic realm, in that chakra. You may start to see numbers, dates. You may have a certain synchronicity that just starts showing up around you. Clairvoyance, clear seeing, clairaudience, clear hearing, clairsentience, a clear feeling, clairalienance, a clear smelling, clairgustinance, clear tasting, claircognizance, clear knowing. So obviously I'm giving you a little more than matching up with just our natural senses, but you could see how they match up with our natural physical senses, and then they go beyond that. So that's the one thing you need to understand. And we'll take people through some exercises later to see, you can kind of test yourself to see where your dominant psychic sense matches up with your physical senses. And, that's something that we can all do. It's something that I like to say is our God-given ability. We truly all have these psychic senses. And what you'll find is with smaller children, they seem to be a little more tuned into it because life hasn't gotten in the way. You don't have all these constructs and self-limiting beliefs and fear and all these things that kind of get into our head and take us out of our psychic awareness. So when little kids are super creative, or they're talking about things that adults just can't comprehend, like me, I'll give you an example. When I was a child, aside from my mediumship and connecting to spirit, connecting to people that were outside of the physical body, there was a Christmas where I started telling my mom all the gifts I was getting, and this is at a point in time where I still believed in Santa Claus. I had, I was still full in on the whole Christmas holiday. It was a great time of year for me. It was a point where I would see family members that I hadn't seen in a long time. So it was a very positive energy around that. And I remember I was so excited and telling her about some of the gifts that she's bringing in. And I wasn't specific about it. I just started talking about them. And she was so mad. She thought that I guess I had snuck around the house and found some of the gifts. And then she's questioning me. And I felt like, I was under, detective investigation, and I was being cross-examined, and I just know. And I actually got into a lot of trouble about around that. And it was just an interesting cycle. And then, they realized, my mom realized it, and both my parents realized, okay, this is interesting. Somehow he figured that out and knew. And it was just an interesting dynamic. And that's something that I think any parent that's out there that has younger children that seem to be talking in these abstract, abstract dialogues, embrace that, and maybe ask them a little bit about that, because children are so tuned into this. And unfortunately for many people, life gets in the way and kind of pulls us out of our psychic abilities. I was very blessed to have a family that didn't institutionalize me, and I was always tapped into this. And it just kind of grew and grew. And I can tell you, anyone that's out there that thinks they shouldn't work with their psychic energy, you're doing yourself a complete disservice. And you may not want to be a psychic reader or a medium, but even if you're going to negotiate, if you're going into some type of sales where you're buying a vehicle, buying a house, you're going to understand, and you're going to key in when people are being deceptive or the truth isn't being revealed. You're going to pick up on that energy for relationships. If you're in the dating scene, you're going to know when someone's not telling you the truth. There's some deception going on. They're not bringing all the information forth. So this isn't just about being a reader. And that many people, may think, oh, I don't want to be a psychic medium. I don't want to dabble in this. But it's not about that. It's truly understanding the full realm and the full spectrum of energy. It's something that will only empower you in every aspect of your life.
Okay. Okay. So I have to tell everyone. So how it started for me, it's interesting because each of us will find our own path when it comes to ESP, extrasensory perception, psychic phenomenon. My path initially was through the heart. So basically, because I was empathic, and this is just my personal experience, when I was around someone, I would literally, my heart would connect to their heart, and then I would receive information about them. And that's how it started for me. And as Michael said, we each have psychic abilities. Which one is it? So for me, it started out through the heart, and then I tuned in, and then I was seeing things in my third eye. So what is that exactly like? And I'm going to go through some steps how to reach some of your psychic phenomenon to begin with, if you already haven't. I literally, like for now, if I'm looking here, I can literally see another realm somewhere else. So right now, what do I see? Usually I see some kind of nature scene, and there's I don't know where this takes place, but there's a gate, like a wooden white gate, and there's usually animals. By the way, anyone who wants to write a comment, we'd love to. And if you want a psychic reading, you just write some information in the comments and we will read you. So you're all out there. You're welcome to join us here. Anyway, so I will look into my third eye, and then when I casually do that, I see this scene. So right now I see some kind of farm animals. It's interesting. And then it's a long distance out, and it's usually green meadows. Now for a while I was seeing the angelic realm, and they were literally tapping me. Somehow they were tapping me every morning, and it went on for at least a year, 2 years. And they were connecting to me, and they were dancing in a circle. Now that's my experience. You might have a different one. Oh, hi, Hannah, Mary, and Healing and Reiki. I'm so excited finally to catch a live. Perfect. Here we are.
Hannah, okay. How are you?
We have 2 friends now. Hey, where's some of mine? So we do have some viewers tonight. We're going to try to do this 7:30. Next week is 7:30, also live. Okay, so let's get to it. Let me share with you some easy ways for you to start to connect to your psychic abilities, which is your inner life. And what is that? It's like when you go and you meditate and you focus on your breath. I'm going to walk you through this. You focus on your breath, and you relax so much that you travel somewhere else. And that's kind of what we're doing. And I know Michael was speaking about how he receives information as a medium. For me, I basically, I don't close my eyes, but if I hear someone's voice, again, this is another personal experience. When I hear a voice, I don't want to look at them because then I will receive more information without looking at them. It's a distraction. So I hear basically one or two words and a stream of information comes. Now, if that happens to you and you start to get a flash of information, which is an impression, maybe you'll get it in a mental picture. Maybe you'll hear a voice, clairaudient. You might hear someone, you'll be like, who is that? Because you're hearing it from another location. Okay, so clear senses is a knowing. You have a knowing. There's not going to be any proof. It's hardly ever that you can prove it unless you get clarity from the person that you're reading. If you give a psychic reading or you want to try it, you say, oh, and you tell them a fact about themselves, or you received information about them and they say, oh, well, how did you know that? You're tapping into your clairvoyance. So for me, I hear someone's voice, like Michael will say, what are you writing down? Because when we have a guest, I'll be writing things down. Because as soon as I hear their voice, I have to write the information down. It drives me crazy. And it'll be images, it'll be, it's going to be information that I'm receiving. So it could, and I don't choose what it is. So you don't want to edit what you receive, because it's not about what your mind is telling you. It's about your sixth sense, your intuition. And all right, so let's try this. Let's try doing this. Okay, so everyone, this is how I do it. Now, I just want to tell you that there's like, it takes practice. You might not get it first off. So just have patience, and you have to accept, have confidence. And the best thing to do is to not put pressure on yourself, because you want to be, the more relaxed you are, then the more information you're going to get. And if you get any information, so let's say you close your eyes, we're doing this exercise, and you see, we'll just say a stop sign. And then you say, oh, I don't see a stop sign. No. You want to see the stop sign. You want to just stay with the stop sign. See if you see something else related to the stop sign. Don't let go of it. The longer you can hold the impression, the more information you're going to receive. Okay, so let's try it together. Okay, everybody? So this is how I always start. And this is how I got better and better and better at it. And this is my technique. So you let out a breath. I'd like you to put all your weight in your bottom, which means get into a comfortable position. You can sit or lay down, okay? And so you're talking about the base of your spine. You're going to put all your weight in your bottom, and you're going to imagine, because you're grounding yourself, that the base of your spine, your bottom, is going down, down, deep into the earth, okay? Because this is how you want to ground yourself. It's going down, down, deep into the earth. And then imagine your feet. Try to have them flat on the ground, and it's easier to do it this way because you kind of don't want to cross your legs. Okay, you want to get all the information. So imagine your feet also going down, down, deep into the earth. Okay, and you're letting out a breath, and you're letting go, because by the end of the day, we're holding on to a lot of tension. It's not going to work very well. So just have patience right now. Okay, so then you're going to like move your neck around, let go. I always say, feel like a rag doll. You're holding yourself up, but you're not. Okay, imagine all of the energies traveling through your arms, your fingertips out. You're letting out a breath. You're inhaling, you're exhaling. We're going to do 3 inhales and exhales, and then we're going to go to it. Okay? So let's together, and we're pushing away any doubt we can do it, right? Pushing away doubt. We're accepting, having a willingness to believe you can do it. Okay, so we're going to do an inhale for 5 counts, hold it for 5 counts, release it for 5 counts. And we're going to do it 3 times, because this will ensure that you've relaxed your body and you're just focusing on your breath now. Ready? Let's do it together. Okay, so now hopefully your heart's calmer, you're just feeling more at peace. And I'm just going to give a few suggestions now moving forward. And whatever feels right for you, these are my personal experience, whatever feels right for you, you go to. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go to your heart, which is where I always start because that's so important. So let's go to our heart space right now. So you're going to tune into your heart space right now, and whatever that means to you. And you're going to ask yourself, how am I doing? And usually come back with one word answer. I'm going to be quiet for a minute and you ask yourself, how am I feeling? How am I doing? And I automatically received, I'm comfortable, because I am. I'm comfortable about talking about this. In fact, I love talking about this. Hi, everybody who's writing comments. Okay, and so now what I'd like to do, what we're going to do now is we're going to try to have as much silence as we can. Now, I would like first to go to clairaudience, and then we're going to go to clairvoyance. So now we went to our heart space, and it's going to take time for you to get used to asking yourself that. It might seem silly, but you have answers within you, and you need to know where you stand at all times. So it's a good thing, just regardless of psychic phenomenon, to ask yourself, how am I doing? This is how we set boundaries, doesn't it? Because we need to know how we're doing, because it's just us, right? I mean, no one else out here is going to know how we're doing. So you ask yourself, okay, so now what I'd like to do is we're going to have quiet. Now, what I usually say is, if you want to tune into your clairaudience, your hearing, which would be for me, I will go to sleep at night. I will close my eyes and I will listen. I will listen and I hear this frequency. I don't know if everyone else can hear it. It's some frequency that exists. And I'm in it, I'm listening to it for seconds, and then I will usually hear someone saying something. And then I try to grab onto it and receive more information. But let's get simpler. Let's get down to the simplest here. The simplest form is, what I'd like you to do is right now, we're going to be very quiet for a moment. And at first, we're just going to hear everything that's going on in the room that you're in right now. Maybe you're outside, maybe you're inside. Because we have to get used to tuning into. So at home, normally what I would say is turn off all your electronics, but since we're watching a show, you can't actually do that. Okay, so I'd like everyone to, I'm going to be really quiet, and then I'd like you to hear what's going on in the room, and then I'm going to give you another suggestion, okay? So we're relaxed. Okay, so what we're doing is we're starting to train ourselves in hearing. Now, what do you hear? I can hear my computer running. Maybe you hear some kind of appliances going. Maybe you just hear the sound, the stillness in the room. So first you do that. You listen in the room that you're in or whatever location. And you're really intently listening. And then what I'd like you to do, I'm going to be quiet. We're going to listen beyond the walls of the room, okay? Which means wherever you are. It could be in the rest of the home you're in or the office and outside. Okay, so let's try to do that next. So you're quiet and have stillness. So for me, I can hear, and I'm just giving you some ideas, some suggestions. I can hear what's going on outside my home. I have a street, and I'm used to doing this, so I'm listening, and I can literally hear cars. Now, my windows are closed, but I can still hear. Okay, so that's the next step. And this is baby steps, everyone. Okay, now the last step is going to be, we're going to listen beyond like our yard, our street. We're going to try to listen as far as we can listen. And we're talking, can you listen to the moon? Can you listen to this out into the solar system? And this is how you're training yourself. Okay, so I'm going to be quiet again, and we're going to listen as far as we can hear. Now, I know at first you might not hear anything, but in the most spontaneous way, when you least expect it, all of a sudden, you might hear something drop and there's nothing in the room that you're in that drops. And this is what's happened to me and other people that have tried this. So on your own time, try that. Okay. So before I ask Michael, what he's thinking about everything I'm saying, I'm going to say, let's focus on our clairvoyance. All right. So our clairvoyance is the space between our brows. It's our third eye. Now, I don't know if your third eye is open. There's ways to open it. You can close your eyes because now we're relaxed. And you can imagine, you can visualize a beam of light coming right here in the size of a quarter hitting your third eye to open it up. So you're seeing this whitish color, illuminated ray of light hitting right here. And you're also asking for it to be open. You can tap on it and you can think about it being open. You can imagine that it's open. You can keep your eyes closed and you can imagine it open and that it's there and it's open. Okay, so do you want to give some input before I keep going? Because I won't stop.
Had to unmute my microphone there. Yeah, no, I think we could take everyone through, since you're talking about clairvoyance, clear seeing, we can definitely take everyone through a small exercise to try to open the third eye and to try to understand how a psychic will receive information and how you're receiving information clairvoyantly. You know, a lot of people think it may flash across them or they're going to see this brilliant masterpiece, you know, just appear. Even with clairaudience, let me touch base on this a little bit. When we're speaking in regard to clairaudience, you know, clear hearing, a lot of times you need to understand it's going to occur almost as it's in between your thoughts. You may even hear it in your own voice. You know, there's times initially you may feel like it's almost your subconscious speaking to you, but it won't necessarily be a thought or an action that you would have in your head, you know. So I like to explain it as the clairaudient tuning may come in between your thoughts, and also like claircognizance, clear knowing, you know, it comes in between your thoughts. But a clear hearing, it may sound like your own voice in your head. And that's what people need to understand when we're tuning in. It may not be this overwhelming, mind-blowing piece of information that just kind of opens and you're like, without a shadow of a doubt, that's it. Sometimes it's such a very subtle piece of energy. And that's what, you know, when you're taking us through that exercise and we're listening, where we're supercharging our senses, and our senses, we're kind of hyper tuning them. And that builds upon the psychic senses, and the psychic senses kind of magnify and carry that even further. So that's one thing, is people need to understand it can be very, very subtle. And the more you work with it, like you had spoke about this earlier, it's an ongoing process. And just like anything, just like riding a bike, learning how to run, learning an instrument, it's a process that we build our psychic muscles over time. And the more we do it, the more we practice it, the better we become at it. And you know, so that's definitely a bottom line. People, if you haven't tuned into your energy, it's going to take a little bit more of a process before you make that breakthrough and you start getting information, you know. And some people may do it and all of a sudden, you know, that energy just comes pouring in. So everyone is unique to how our energy is and how we tune into it. So that's one thing to understand. It's very subtle, or it can be very subtle. And if you're having an experience where it feels overwhelming to you, you actually just need to sit with that energy and not have any type of fear or anxiety around it. And the more you do that, the more you'll see it's something very natural. It's something very divine. And if you're feeling a little anxious or a little uneasy, you'll notice the more you sit into that energy, the more that energy will help you ground, and that feeling will pass. That's just basically a new sensation that's occurring in you, and it may be starting to open different chakras within the body. So let me have everyone out there. I want you to, first off, we're going to work a little bit with our energy. So I want everyone to just hold their hands out. It could just be a couple inches apart. And I want you to just Yeah, if you want to rub your hands together, get the energy moving, shake your hands out. I want you to just close your eyes. And like what Mary Amy was first starting to have us do is focus in on our breath. I want you to focus in on your breath and close your eyes. And in between the palms of your hand, I want you to start feeling the energy, the energetic connection, almost as if there's a ball of light or a warmth, an energetic field that's starting to form and starting to expand between your two palms. And just keep focusing on the feeling and the sensation of that energy, and start to see in your mind's eye, in your third eye, in your mind's eye, a ball of white light starting to form and starting to glow and starting to expand until it fills your entire space between your two palms. And start to feel that sensation. Are you feeling any warmth around that? Are you starting to see in your mind's eye that ball of white light expand? And just sit with that energy, and just feel that energy expanding and that white light glowing and just getting warmer and warmer until you can feel that energy. And in your mind's eye, you could see that ball of white light. And I just want you to sit with that and just hold that energy. And just breathe. You know, you need your breath as you focus in and you breathe in, you can focus on seeing and feeling it even more. And just allow that energy to expand within you. And just feel that energy. So that's the basis of this. We're just starting to feel the energy. We're starting to see the energy. So we're feeling that energy. We're seeing that energy. Now what I want you to do, if you want to put in the comments, if you had some type of sensation, if you were feeling more of a warm energy expand, more of heat occurring in your hands, what you're seeing in your mind's eye. And I want you to take your dominant hand, whichever hand you write with, dominant hand. And I just want you to now hold that hand up as you're seeing that ball of white light. You're holding that ball of white light. You may even feel a little weight in your hand. You may feel more weight and pressure than you would normally feel. So just hold that energy. Now what I want you to do is turn that ball of white light into an apple. I want you to now see that ball of white light starting to form into an actual apple. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to see that apple and just focus on that apple and see if there's any texture. See if there's still a little stem on it. You know, are there any marks on that apple? What color is that apple? Are there any irregularities to it? And just sit with that energy. Now, as you're sitting with that energy, I want you to literally lift that apple up, and I want you to take a bite out of that apple. Take a bite of that apple. Put that apple back down. Now we can throw the apple away. Now we can throw that apple away and feel the energy clear from your hand. You can shake your fingers out a little bit, clear that energy. Now what you want to ask yourself, if you're in the chat here and you want to put it in, you know, was there a certain color that you saw associated with that apple? You know, the first thing I guess we can ask ourselves is, did you see an apple in your mind's eye? You know, were there any characteristics to that apple? So Mary Amy, let me, you'll be the guinea pig to our experiment.
Well,
did you see a color?
It's interesting because I don't always eat these apples. In fact, I've been eating apples every day. So it's interesting, the apple that I did see. So I felt the light, you know, because I do balls of light, and I felt that it was really very strong today. So I think that's pretty amazing. Someone made a comment. I'll tell you about mine, then I'll read the comment. So I saw a red, delicious apple. It was a red apple. And it did have a stem, and it wasn't a fat apple. It was more like a thinner red apple.
Okay.
And when I bit into it, because I know you're going to ask that question, it was juicy. It was just like tomorrow, if I had that apple, it would be too soft. Today, it was just right, not hard, not too soft. It was just right. It was a bright red apple. It did have a stem. Okay, so we have a couple comments. Very shiny and red with a stem. Sherry Keene said, "Hi everyone, thanks. If you guys want readings, hey, hello. I don't know who Sherry Keene is. You want reading? Okay."
Yeah, I know Sherry.
And then
What's up, Sherry?
Mary's Healing. "I love this exercise. My apple has a stem and it was red with yellow."
Okay, so now we take that a step farther. So now when you bit into the apple, you want to
It says hi.
kind of
You want a reading?
yeah, you want to feel that energy. You know, did you hear it clairaudiently? Did you hear a bite into the apple? Did you salivate? You know, what was the energy associated with biting into the apple? And then what you need to do is kind of recalibrate your energy a little bit, sit with all those feelings. So seeing it, hearing the bite, tasting it, depending on what experience you had. And out of that experience of biting into that apple, or even feeling it in your hand and just having this knowing that there was an apple in my hand, even though physically there was no apple there,
Yeah.
what sensation was the most powerful clear sensation to you? You know, a lot of people will say seeing it, especially if you saw a color, texture, and that unfolded around it. But that's a good way to show you what is your dominant clear sense that you can start initially working with, because that's probably going to be your most powerful natural psychic sense. You know, and for a lot of people, seeing it, seeing clear, you know, having that clairvoyance, or hearing it. You know, a lot of people may hear biting of the apple, you know, and the funny thing is, the clairgustance, you know, some people may have tasted that apple, and that's actually a rarer psychic sense that you'll initially have. That's usually not someone's dominant sense unless they've been working with their abilities for a while. You know, that's usually something that may come a little bit later on. Even smelling, you know, when you that clairalience, the smelling. Like, give you an example. In certain readings, I may start to smell cigarette or cigar smoke, and as I start bringing evidence through, it helps the spirit show me, you know, what they did here, you know. Or I even like tasting. There was a moment where I started tasting orange juice, and it was very specific information to my client. And you know, when I started speaking about that, so that's why it's so important we start understanding all of our psychic senses and we build upon them. But there's always going to be a primary dominant sense that we start with, you know, and everyone could be very different, you know, of what it is. But you know, that's why we do these exercises. We start to align and learn what our dominant psychic sense is. We build off that, and then we kind of start working with the other ones. And you know, when we get into mediumship, information will be coming very quick, so they may be using all of my psychic senses, you know, to carry through and bring evidence and actual information through. So when we're working with it, we're exercising all of those different senses, we're building upon them, and that allows us to be that channel to where you know, I like to say we're the conduit. So when we take our psychic abilities to the next level, you know, you had spoke about this earlier, we're not influencing it. We truly, when we start working with our psychic abilities, there may be some emotions involved with that. We may have to open and align our chakra system, cleanse our auric field. So there's going to be different stuff we're working through. But then as we work through that stuff, we become a clear conduit. And at that point, we're bringing pure information through that we don't need to interpret. We immediately know what it is, and we don't steal it. Like, I'll give you an example. If I were to see a pink and purple elephant, I'm going to bring that piece of information through a pink and purple elephant. I'm not going to basically put my own spin on that and say that, okay, I'm seeing a stuffed animal that's pink and purple or elephant. You know, I'm purely bringing through the information, being the channel, because it doesn't need to mean anything to me, as long as it makes complete sense to my sitter, you know. And in building our psychic awareness, we may have to kind of learn that language. You know, it's all energy, frequency, and vibration, and that's what we're tapping into. So as we learn and grow these abilities, we start to develop that language, and we start to basically grow, you know, a deeper understanding of our psychic abilities, and what those meanings, those symbols, those signs mean to us, till we have a clear cut, sure, actual piece of information that we know what that means. And that's why it's so important to just work with this and to develop it, you know, over time.
Okay, so what I do is, after I have walked someone through, like we just did, where I walked you through, and we spoke about the different psychic clairsense, the different clairsenses, right? Which is clairaudience, you're hearing, clairvoyance, you're seeing. If any of this resonated with you, you're claircognizant, you just know. You just know before someone says something that it's going to happen. Maybe you have a premonition dream, your clair empathy, your clairsustenance, your feeling. You can feel and absorb what other people are feeling. You can tap into and it's like their mood, their emotions. Okay, so what do you do with this? Well, here we go. So now we're going to try. I'm going to give a suggestion. There's there's a couple of suggestions that I can give. I'm going to start out. Here we go. All right. So we're going to we've walked ourselves through. We've relaxed, our weight's in our bottom. We focused on our breath. We're like a rag doll. We're pushing away any doubt. We have confidence we can do this, a willingness. Okay, and I'm going to now, we're calm. Now, whichever clairsense you believe to be the strongest, are you more apt to hear something, see something, feel something? When I give the suggestion, you're going to tune into that sense and see. Okay? So we've gone through the steps, we're relaxed, we've pushed away any doubt. Okay, and now I'm going to give a suggestion, and I'd like you to tune into whatever clairsense you believe is the strongest. For me, I'm going to tune into my clairaudience, my hearing. And my suggestion is, when was the last time that you felt happiness? Okay, so why am I asking everyone this question? Because first we're going to talk about what's within us, and then I start to tune in outside of me. So for me, I was tuning in. When was the last time? And so you maybe you received something, maybe you didn't. It's funny because I tried to tune into my hearing, and then that came after, I guess you could say, my feeling, which was the last time I felt happiness. And that was, I went to a birthday party, and it was on my birthday, and that's the last time I can say that I had extreme happiness. And so I went to that memory. It's interesting. The better you get at this, then it's easier for you to tune into memories. And I saw myself, and I felt how I felt on my birthday, and then I started hearing what was going on around me. So that's a suggestion. Now, if you want to even take it a step further, and you want to start to tune into your clairsenses and ask questions, you can start asking questions that might be a prediction. Is something going to happen to me? And you can give a date. You can give yourself a date. Or you can ask about something out in the physical reality. There's a lot of ways that you can start to practice and test yourself and accept the information, whatever it is, because there's something within you that's giving you an impression, a sensation. It's a physical sensation. It's something that you don't know.
Well, the interesting thing too, when you speak about happiness and just the energy of emotions is what comes to me. And the more you work with your psychic energy, the more you'll be able to harness and control your emotions. So certain people will find initially they may be very reactive in certain situations, people angering them, frustration, anxiety, guilt, whatever that may be to you, and different emotions that you're trying to navigate. The more you work with your psychic energy, the more you'll harness that. And the more, rather than being reactive, you'll basically empower yourself to kind of understand the emotion and maybe not be so quick to react, and you become more mindful, in this practice of developing your psychic energy. You absolutely develop develop a sense of mindfulness, you know. And look, we're all a work in progress. We're all always learning and growing. And that's the thing, what we need to understand. There is no end to this. This is an ongoing thing. Once we embark on this journey, it's a lifelong journey, you know. And I think that's what everyone needs to understand. If you feel like you're not making a breakthrough, or you're kind of stuck in an energetic pattern, you know, you can sit and you can meditate with this, and you can start to go on this internal journey. And this journey can be the best psychologist, psychiatrist journey that you're on. You know, you'll learn your own energetic cycles. You'll learn how you're being reactive, and it'll empower you in such a way that you'll just learn so much about yourself. And I think people that really can't find their happiness, when they embark on this journey, that happiness will start to shine. It'll start to break through, and you'll start to understand what you feel is disempowering you and what's empowering you, you know. And you'll start to pull away, and you'll start to release those things that are making you feel disempowered, those things that are, you know, that make you feel more negative or pull you down into a lower vibration. You know, you start to really become aware of those things, whether that's people, places, things, you know, certain environments. And anyone that embarks on this journey, I can tell you 100%, if you feel like you're in a situation that there's no way out, you just haven't tuned into it psychically, because there is always a way to manifest, and there's always a way to get beyond any type of roadblock or any obstacle that you're encountering. It's just seeing it from just the human, you know, the human side of things, and not approaching it from a spiritual side doesn't show us the whole picture. I can tell you in my own life, there are so many things that if I just relied on the human being side of me, I never would have been able to navigate it, because our spiritual soul energy can see way beyond what the physical body can see, and what we can pick up on. And there's going to be times when you're working with this, and literally you're supposed to be making a right hand turn, but you're like, no, psychically I need to go left. And you're going to do it, and you're going to start to see that when you listen to that guidance, it works out. When you don't listen to that guidance, you know, you're taking 3 steps back to take 2 steps forward. And I can vouch for this in my own life, you know. And it wasn't until I started completely tuning into this that life significantly started shifting. Relationships started shifting. Things will become more positive and will become more aligned to you, you know. And good things, what they say, luck. Well, let me tell you, when you tap into this, your luck will flow. And that is an absolute, you know, that is not something in question. You know, it's just a matter of opening to this, you know. And that's half the battle, is people not discrediting things and say, oh, that was just a coincidence. Oh, that's no, that just happened. We have to be open to these experiences, and we have to be open to allow ourselves to kind of tune in and allow these capabilities of our psychic energy to flow. You know, that's really what it comes down to. Be open, don't discourage it. And when you start seeing what you thought were coincidences, you'll see that no, you're truly starting to tap into that psychic, spiritual, divine energy that flows through us.
I suggest that if this isn't of interest to you, to get to have a book or someplace that or something that you can carry around, even a piece of paper. And when you start to receive impressions, something, you say, oh, was that real? Did that just happen to me? Or you see it in your third eye, or you hear it, or you feel it, you know something before it's going to happen. You might begin to have this synchronicity, and you start to think of something, and then somebody walks by and they answer your question, or whatever it is that's just out of the norm for you, that seems a little bit like supernatural, a little bit phenomenon, you write it down. Start to write it down, because the more confidence and more belief you have in this, then the more, like Michael just said, it flows, it starts to come. The more you pursue it, it's like you're opening up to it, you know, open heart, open mind. And it sounds, you know, maybe it sounds a little like wonky or cliche or something, but it's true, because I know this. And And also you'll actually bring different individuals into your life, more that are like-minded than you. It changes, it transforms you and transmutes you into a multi-dimensional being of light. Like seriously, the more that you tap into your inner spirit and you allow yourself to be free and understand yourself, because these are things that we all probably should have been knowing when we were kids, allowed. And it's about opening up your creativity, your imagination, and letting it flow. And you'll be surprised. And maybe you walk away from this video and you say, oh, nothing, this didn't do anything. And tomorrow or in the next week, you'll have some kind of dream or something unusual will happen. You'll say, oh, maybe that's not a coincidence. It really was related to something we said. We activated something, or you activated something because you were willing to try it. Should we do a visual? Can I do a visualization before,
Yeah. I'll just share a quote I had from one of my mentors when I started going into deep study of this, and I started realizing, what I thought was my complete full capacity of psychic abilities and mediumship. I didn't realize how much you can push it. You can push the limits of it and learn it and grow it. But I had one of my mentors, Janet Nohavik. She said something very, very pivotal to me. And she's like, when you start to work with this and you really start pushing your limits of your psychic abilities, you discover and you awaken the hidden potential that can be the difference between all success and failure in your life. And it truly is, think about that. You can discover and awaken the hidden potential that can be the difference between success and failure. And I truly think that when you start working with this energy, it can empower you to such a level that failure becomes an option, that it's a learning, growing cycle, so there is no true failure when you start working with this. And you'll see areas of success just start to manifest in your life that maybe you were struggling with, you were trying to make a breakthrough. And it really does, it rewires and it remaps your brain. So you start to see that even when you're not, I don't need to be in my full mediumship mode to have my psychic downloads and psychic awareness. That's always present, and that's always there. It's basically just like a volume knob, and I like to, it's on one all the time, and you kind of turn it up. You are in complete control of this. But what we need to understand is when you start working with this energy, it completely remaps and rewires your brain. And it just gives you an awareness unlike anything you've ever experienced.
I agree with you. I know there's something I was going to say, and now I can't remember.
You were going to do a visualization.
Oh, I know. I want to do that, but I just want to throw in there. First of all, we want to do psychic readings. So moving forward, other lives, please join us. Write a comment. We will give you a psychic reading through the chat. Okay,
Thursday, 7:30.
That's right.
Thursday. We're gonna keep shooting for this Thursday at 7:30.
So next week, before we go, I'll pull up his name. We have a guest next Thursday. I want to let everyone know a couple things. If you would like to reach out to Michael Edley, IVeTheSpirits.com, MaryAmyOfficial.com. Like our Two Psychics podcast, you can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Spreaker, Amazon. Right? I know there's more. Okay.
Yeah. And we have some live events. So Mary Amy has some live events. I have some live events. And then we have some combined events that are going to be coming up. We have one listed so far. If you go to my Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley Facebook page, or you go to Mary Amy Official, or what is your
Mary Amy?
Just Mary Amy, right? Mary Amy Official's website. Yes.
Yeah, Mary Amy Official website.
Or Two Psychics
Podcast. Two Psychics podcast. Here we are. Pitch. Two Psychics podcast page. You will see what's coming. So Michael's always doing live events. I'm just kind of going in different directions because I'm writing this book, and but now I'm making it a focus. So we are doing a live event together at the Manor Club on October 21st, and we're gonna record it, and so you'll see it sometime. And then when it all goes well, because I believe it will, We're going to then do other live events. I have psychic readings in December. It's 11th, 12th, 13th. It's 3 days in a row. It's at the Manor Club as well. It's their holiday boutique if you want to go shopping in Pelham Manor, New York. Do you have anything you want to pitch before I do the visualization?
Yeah, I'll give a quick shout out. And I saw one of my good friends, Hannah, which will be doing an event. We'll be doing an event together. It's a psychic night. It's a Reiki and readings event where people can come out and they can experience both aspects of energy healing through Reiki practitioners, and they can get mini readings, and they get a complimentary gift certificate for food and drink at the restaurant we're doing. We'll be at the Captain's Inn it's down in South Jersey. What town is that in? It's on my page. The Captain's Inn is, oh man, I can't think of the, oh wait, hang on. Whoa, I got my little card.
While you're looking at
So
that,
yes,
I'm going to pull up who our next week's guest is.
it's the Captain's Inn. It's psychic night, and that is September 24th. Go on to my Facebook page, and I will definitely have it listed. That is in what is that? Forked River. So that is Lacey Road in Forked River. The Captain's Inn readings and Reiki psychic night. I don't know if people can see that and scan the little QR code. If you can see it and scan the QR code, you can. I'll have Mary Amy put it up on the Two Psychics page. I'll have it on my page. But it's going to be a cool event. We still have some tickets available for that. That's pretty soon. If you're in Jersey or if you're in the surrounding area, you want to experience what I do firsthand, come check it out. It's a fun event. Yeah, we're going to be at the Pelham Manor. We're going to be doing a combined psychic teaching and mediumship event, which is going to be really cool. I can't wait for that. That's in October 21st. I'm excited. I get to travel up to your neck of the woods, and then I'm gonna in 26. We're gonna have a couple events down here at the Jersey Shore that you'll be joining me for. I didn't fill you in on all those details yet, but I will at some point.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, let's talk about our next upcoming guest.
Okay, I also want to say when you come up, I have somebody I'd like you to go into the house and speak to the poltergeist that lives there. Because I can't seem to get rid of this poltergeist. Okay, our guest next Thursday at 7:30 live is Michael John Angus. And he is a seasoned career firefighter and EMT with over 30 years of dedicated service. He is a paranormal investigator, an accomplished author and researcher, and he delves deeply in the unexplained. He is a film producer for Beacon TV. So we have him next week. You'll see all that on Two Psychics podcast page, and I will post about it. So look for him next week. That's going to be exciting. And we have, each week we're going to have different guests. Okay, so let's do this visualization. So what is a visualization? Visualization is mental imagery. So you're basically allowing yourself to close your eyes. I'm going to walk you through the steps, and you're going to bring something into your being that wasn't there before. So you're going to see it and feel it and sense it, and it's going to open up parts of you, and it's supposed to be very positive and healing. So let's try this together. So everyone, I'd like you to close your eyes. This is a visualization, and it's related to nature. Okay, this is going to help you. So just try it. All right, so everyone, I'd like you to close your eyes. Visualizations by Mary. Blessings. Our intention today is to become more aware to the value of nature through patience and trust. Let's realize when our inner spirit flows freely and when we become less dependent on attachments and more capable of expressing our truest self. Your nature visualization begins now. Okay, I'd like you to find a quiet space, sit or lay down comfortably. Now let's begin to relax your mind and your body. I'd like you to breathe out old energy and deeply breathe in fresh air and light. So we're going to inhale and exhale together. So we're going to inhale, hold it, exhale, and 2 more times so we really relax. Exhale. One more time. Now I'd like you to scan your body for stress or tension from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Okay, so through your entire body, your head, your neck, your torso, your legs. And let go of any stress or tension that you have. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine that you're alone with nature. Here you are, you're on a beach. You're observing the blue waves of water splashing on the sandy beach. Now, as the tide comes in, you smell the air, the sound of the birds, and you're enjoying this. You're listening, you're understanding, and you're accepting the beach, the birds, the brilliant sky, the soft sand that your feet's touching. Now it's all becoming part of you. These pieces of nature are equaling a whole. You feel protective of the nature, the water, the air, the earth, and you sense that the nature gives you strength. You feel the love reciprocated from the elements of nature, the water, the sand, the earth, the sky, the air. And as the birds chirp, you convince yourself you know their language. You're breathing out confusion and any stubbornness that you've held on, anything that's practical, you're letting it go. And you're allowing a new energy to touch your soul. You sense there's awakening of clarity, the importance of compassion to all living things. Now this beach scene before you is serene. The sensations fill your senses, all the details, the colors, the temperature of the sun, the water, the wet sand, the bird songs fill the air. Now a new thought takes over your mind and your body. Nature is part of you, and you're part of nature. So I'd like you to stay in this moment. Breathe it in. Let out anything that's old. Breathing in again. Letting out. And you're holding on to this. I'm going to count backwards. And you're going to open your eyes. 3, 2, 1. It's a little glimpse.
I feel more relaxed. I was seeing a nice scenic beach in front of me, and I think I was being brought to a beach near me that I'm normally on. And it's very interesting.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we touched upon a lot of the basics of just kind of starting to open up and tune into your energy, and that's really what it's about. It's small steps. It's consistently practicing and working with your energetic body, and you just build upon that.
Okay, so we got some more. I'm going to read the comments.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hannah said, "Hi, Sherry. I use this exercise in Reiki training, and that's about the apple." And then we have, "Yay, live events are so fun." Then we have, now, does Sherry want a reading? Or is she Forked River? Hannah Mary Hailing said maybe she's seeing Forked River. Is there a beach in Forked River?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, Sherry. I know Sherry, so I don't. Is she still on? Does she want us to?
She's on.
Oh,
Thank you.
cool.
Do we want to try to do Sherry?
It's up to her. I don't know how how
Sherry,
long you want to go, but yeah, we could. I don't know if she has a question. Can she put it? Is there a certain
Sherry, do you have a question?
Into and so let me just bring up some different things as I'm meditating and as I'm because what'll happen is as I kind of start to go into my psychic realm and I start opening and tuning into the mediumship aspect of things, a lot of times if I'm just generally opening and tuning in, I may pick up on pieces of information that are connected to someone that you or someone that's listening. What's really interesting is I started seeing a horseshoe, a green horseshoe with a green 4-leaf clover in it, and it started opening and expanding, and I just saw this light coming from that. I don't know if that's symbolism of the horseshoe, the facing up, and the 4-leaf clover in it. I don't know if that means anything to anyone that we could be connecting to their energy, but I saw that very clearly, and I know it's not something for me, so I don't know if that resonates with anyone out there. The interesting thing too is I am having some spirit kind of come in, and what's interesting is I am starting to get, I'm starting to definitely connect the spirit that's out there tied into someone who's listening to us.
Okay, couple things. Sherry said she'd love a reading. Rhaenyra said being in nature is always a safe place to release all the outside noise for me, and the beach is church for me. Hannah says that's my grandma, what you just said.
Oh, okay, cool. I know there was energy pulling in. What's interesting is, so you know what? Let's just open up a little bit, and I'll start bringing through a little bit of information. If you're getting some information, and we'll see who can take it, because we're connected to someone out there. So the interesting thing, so I definitely have two separate spirits that I think are connected to two separate people. So the interesting thing, I don't know so I definitely have male energy that's coming into me, and when it comes into me, it comes in feeling like uncle type energy. And what's interesting, I don't know if he had a shaved head or had a shaved head towards the end. I'm also connected. I don't know if this is the same person or it's another energy connected to him. I feel as if I'm getting like the T, like a Thomas, a Tim, a Tommy, a Timmy, but I have the T energy coming in, but I also feel like uncle energy, maybe tied into that or associated with that. Now, separate from, so let me see if that resonates with anyone of and what's interesting is I don't know if he's also tied into New York, or even like we are on September 11th and like trade center symbolism, but I feel like I'm being drawn up into.
Oh my God, stop. Sherry says that's my uncle.
It is your okay, cool.
Tom.
All right, Tom. It is Tom. Okay, I didn't know if we were with Tim or Tom. Ask Sherry. So now I can't see all the comments. I'm actually recording right now on my phone, and I'm not on my computer right now. Is there a connection to New York with him, North Jersey, that I would be seeing the New York skyline, or like I don't know if there's a 9/11 connection in, but I'm being drawn into the city. What's weird too is I feel like I have like a lot of like chef cooking in the kitchen symbolism. So I don't know if he like cooked or he cooked with her or what the situation is, but I'm getting like there's a lot of energy coming in.
Newark, she said Newark.
It is Newark. Okay, because I knew I was seeing the sky. Okay, so what Uncle Tom is trying to imprint right now. The interesting energy is I feel like he's coming in supporting like the family. He's definitely. Let me just see what's interesting is there's definitely
my aunt. She said my aunt. Now she said my aunt. I don't know. She went Newark, and then my aunt.
Is connected to 9/11 or not, or the cooking could be the cooking that's tied into Uncle Tom, aunt and uncle, because he may be what will happen is when I start to open and tune into one energy, other energies may kind of what they call piggyback off that and kind of want to open and tune into that. So the interesting thing I have to ask Sherry about, I don't know if, so now she can tell me she doesn't want to talk about this, or I'm bringing up like, this isn't like too personal, but I feel like I feel like Uncle Tom is talking about a new relationship around her son. So I don't know if there's a new girlfriend or a new energy cycle. I feel like I'm talking about dating, or there's like a new relationship around him, but this could also be a work experience, or like a new opportunity around that. But I feel like I'm talking about I feel like he's bringing my attention to a new relation. This could even be this could even be daughter, like around her children. But I feel like if I have to ask her about like did one of the kids just get into a new relationship, that maybe she's, that she's still trying to navigate or put the feelers out of what she feels about this.
She hasn't responded yet. I got cooked really well and nothing yet.
Okay. And that's fine. So I'll just keep bringing a little information through. So I feel like when I connect with Uncle Tom's energy, what's interesting is I feel like he's talking about new energy cycle around the family, around the children of the family. And what's funny is Sherry may be a little apprehensive about that, or kind of not sure.
No
but
new
I feel like
relationship, she said.
What is it?
No new relationship.
It's not a new relationship. Okay. So then what I want her to be aware of is potential new energy cycle opening around. I'm being drawn to son. I don't know why. I'm being drawn to younger male energy around her. So this could also be like I'm just going to talk about a new energy cycle. It could be a job opportunity. It could be an abrupt shift in like school, like he's studying and thought he wanted to go this direction, and there's an abrupt energetic shift from a positive relationship connection. This could be a new teacher, a new instructor, kind of a new mentor coming into him. And I have to say that even if she feels a little anxious around this shift, this could even, there's some kind of energetic shift coming up around him. And I feel like long term, it's actually very positive, but in the short term, she may be very apprehensive for this. So just be aware of that energetic cycle coming up. The interesting thing too. So I have much older, this isn't Sherry's mom. This isn't mom energy. I believe mom is still here. But I believe connected to mom, there's older female energy that's in spirit. That's also kind of coming through with Tom. And what's interesting, I don't know where the C, I don't know where the C falls into place around
yes.
that.
She said yes. She said yes.
Grandma on mom's side. Is there a C connected to grandma? Now, when grandma gives me the C, this could be someone new or here in the physical that's connected to the family, trying to give us a positive connection, or it's somehow connected to maybe another sister tied into grandma. But I'm seeing the C. I don't know if I'm seeing like a Claire, a Claudia. What's weird is I feel like I'm seeing a C, the C initial around her. I don't know if Sherry can take that. But what I would say is if she can't take that as a connection in spirit, like a definitely significant initial, be aware of that C name. Like if a new connection comes up, work-related, career, I feel as if they're showing me that C as a positive connection to Sherry. So be aware of that as like a new connection, a new opportunity. If that's not someone near grandma that you can absolutely identify and take, she can all, that's around her. I feel like I'm being more drawn to here in the physical, that she's showing me some kind of opportunity that's going to present itself around the family. And I do feel career opportunity, work shift, work transition. So just be aware of that C connection around that. It's definitely a positive connection.
She said, thank you. I have something to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I say, okay, so this is what I received. Now, okay, secret about love. There's a secret about love. There's a broken heart. So I got the heart and it was, broken. A trail of missteps, a pattern of misdates, on and on. Somebody's doing this. Then I received, and related to that, there's someone giving advice and speaking a lot in your ear about it. And I saw a zoo with the bars and a roaring lion. That's what I received. Go figure. And I didn't hear her voice. I don't know.
No, what could be interesting, I would say maybe her tune into, if there's been missteps, like what comes to me when you speak about that, and it could be learning opportunities. And again, I don't believe
romance. It's related to romance. It's related to a relationship, her heart. That's what I got. Yeah, so broken heart, but it's a secret. It's a secret about love. That's what I got. A pattern of missed dates, on and on it goes. And I saw a trail. So I don't know. That's what I received. I don't know. Just saying.
I think there's an energetic shift going on around her. And I would just say, Sherry, like if you're looking at certain things that maybe you thought were negative or a misstep in that, and I'm not talking around love, I'm just talking about, I do believe there were learning lessons and like energetic cycles that you had to go through for a new understanding of truly what was important and what mattered. I think maybe that was clouded for a period of time, or maybe rather than be focused, you may have been kind of diverted on some other paths where I what I'd like to tell, what we say here on Two Psychics is when your soul is calling you to a certain path, it'll keep calling until you listen. And I think you're just tuning into that more now. I think there may be some outside noise that you're pushing away.
I said absolutely.
That's good. Yeah, I think it's a really good positive energy cycle that you're opening to now. And I think it's because you're truly following your heart and not listening to the outside noise and what other people want to try to impose on us, or, you know, not worrying about like the fear of failure and just kind of going for it now. So I think that's a really good energy cycle.
She lost sound. Okay, well you can watch this. You can watch this. I hope we didn't lose. I hope the whole sound isn't gone for the whole video.
Hopefully not, but then you can replay it if it did. But no, that's awesome, and I'm glad Sherry can take that. So we'll leave Sherry with that, with love and light.
Yeah. Love and light, love and light. All right, everyone. So thank you for joining us. It's Two Psychics, episode 66, and we spoke about psychic abilities. We had a visualization, and we just are trying to activate your clear senses. Everyone, we'll be back again next Thursday at 7:30. And she got it back. Thank you so much. Oh, Hannah says she can hear, so they heard. Okay, everyone. So you find Michael at eyeofthespirits.com, MaryAmyOfficial.com, and I hope you like our podcast page, Two Psychics Podcast, and we'll be back again next week. Stay on, and you can see our outro. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.